Hello. This summary is based on the works of Professor Vihar Kiskinov. Today, we're going to dive into a concept that really changes the way we look at law. It's called legal construction, and it asks us to see our legal systems not as a jumble of rules, but as a carefully designed architecture.
So let's start with a really big question. When you think about the law, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Is it just a giant book of do's and don'ts? Or is there something more to it? A deeper, more elegant structure that holds the whole thing together. That's really the core idea we're digging into today. The shift from seeing law as a bunch of separate rules to understanding it as a system of interconnected constructions.
So here's our roadmap for this journey. First up, we'll get a clear definition of what a legal construction actually is. Then, we'll look at how it's used as a blueprint when making laws, and how it's applied in the real world to build a legal case. After that, we'll see how this creates a common language for everyone in the legal field, and finally, we'll touch on its absolutely critical role in building the virtual legal reality of the future.
All right, let's get right to it. What in the world is a legal construction?
Okay, so a legal construction isn't just one single thing. As Professor Kiskinov puts it, it's an amalgamation, basically a combination of a bunch of different parts. The best way to think about it is like a complete package. It's got the core idea, the specific rules, the exact language used in the statute, and even the real-world facts that it's supposed to deal with. All these elements come together to create one single working legal machine. And this is where the analogy of an architect's blueprint really clicks. See, a blueprint doesn't just give you a list of materials, right? It shows you how every single beam, every wire, and every pipe connects to make a building that actually stands up and works. A legal construction does the exact same thing for the law. It's the master plan that shows how all the individual rules and ideas fit together to achieve a specific legal goal, creating a system that's complete and makes sense.
So, if these constructions are the blueprints, how are they actually used in the design process? Let's take a look at how this idea helps lawmakers create better, more cohesive legal systems.
Making a law isn't just one action. It's a whole sequence of steps. Let's imagine a law to reduce plastic pollution. The first step is what we call the formation of will. Society as a whole decides, hey, we need to do something about this. But you don't just start writing. First, you build the model. That's the conceptual construction. What does reduce actually mean? Is it a ban, a tax? Which items are we talking about? Are there exceptions for, say, medical supplies? Once you've got that abstract model figured out, then you create the normative construction by adding the specific rules, the exact tax rate, the penalty for breaking the rule. And only at the very end, you translate all of that into the final legal text. The construction you see is that absolutely critical bridge between a social goal and the law that gets written down.
And this really shows you the practical difference it makes. Without this kind of blueprint, you could end up with a messy patchwork of rules. One law for bags, a different one for straws, full of gaps and contradictions. But by using a construction for our plastic pollution law, a lawmaker can design a complete, consistent mechanism from the get-go. The entire focus shifts from just writing individual rules to actually engineering a whole system that's built to achieve a specific goal.
Okay, so we've got the blueprint. Now, how does it get used when the rubber hits the road? Let's see how legal constructions are actually applied by lawyers and judges in the real world.
This is where the whole idea becomes incredibly practical. For a lawyer or a judge handling a case, a legal construction basically works like a structured questionnaire. Let's go back to our plastic ban example. If someone's accused of violating it, the construction provides the exact checklist of questions. Was the item actually made of plastic? Was it single-use? Did some kind of exception apply here? It guides them to collect all the necessary facts in a purposeful and complete way, giving them the framework they need to make a solid legal judgment.
Now, beyond the courtroom and the legislature, these constructions also play a massive role in how law is studied, taught, and even talked about. They literally create a shared understanding.
The advantages here are just huge. Legal constructions create a common language that everyone, from a first-year law student to a seasoned judge, can use and understand. It standardizes legal knowledge. And here's a really key point. Because the underlying concept or construction stays the same even if specific rules or penalties change, it gives a stable foundation for knowledge. It lets students learn progressively, starting with the general model and then moving to specific cases, always connecting the theory directly to how it's used in practice.
And that brings us to the future, and perhaps the biggest challenge of all. How do we adapt this ancient system of law to our incredibly fast-paced digital world? Well, this is where legal constructions go from being useful to being absolutely essential.
Just think about systems like e-government or e-justice for a second. For a computer to execute a legal process automatically, the law can't have any ambiguity. It needs a formal logical structure that a machine can understand. Well, the clearly defined models of legal constructions provide exactly that. They are the prepackaged logical building blocks we need to translate our legal system into a virtual reality that actually works, making sure the rule of law operates just as effectively online as it does offline.
This quote from Professor Kiskinov just perfectly captures the situation. This isn't some brand new idea, it's a way of thinking that legal scholars have been developing for almost 200 years. But today, in our complex, interconnected, digital world, making this shift isn't just a good idea, it's urgent. We simply can't afford to think only in terms of individual rules anymore.
So, here's the bottom line. The future of law, a future that will be more and more digital and automated, is being built right now as we speak. The concept of legal constructions gives us a powerful set of tools to do the job right, and it leaves all of us with a really important question to think about. As we build this new legal reality, are we absolutely sure we're using the right blueprints? Thank you for your time.